What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to do some fountain pen cleaning. This is my storage area where all my fountain pens go in this particular writing desk. But before we put them up, I like to make sure that they are clean. We had a question the other day in a comment section on one of the videos like, hey, how do you keep your fountain pens clean? Well, I'm going to show you. We're going to do 3 different kinds of filling systems, so it kind of gives you an idea. Obviously, this is how I do it. I'm sure there's other tips and tricks, but this works really well for me. So let's get into it. All right, so we're going to do 3 different kinds of pens here because we can do 3 different kinds of filling systems, and I can kind of demonstrate 3 different kinds of ways that I clean stuff. Now, obviously, this is the way I do it. It's not the way everybody does it. I just want to point that out, that I'm doing it how I do it. So this pen right here is a cartridge converter pen. Let me get the cap out of the way and the barrel out of the way. I don't like to get ink on this barrel because it's micarta. So we have a cartridge and a converter, and so the very first thing I do is I just make sure that there's no ink left in the pen by just putting the converter all the way down to the bottom. You know, just running it all the way down and making sure, running it all the way down. There you go. And making sure that it's clean. And then we're just going to come over here and I'm just going to rinse out the feed real quick, and then I'm going to take the converter off. And then I have 2 tools that I use to clean pens. One is a booger sucker. So I just have a glass of water here that I use, and I put it in the back of the section like this, and I basically just pressure wash out the back of the section until all of the water is clean, like so. Now all the water's clean, just give it a rinse. Now sometimes, depending on the ink, see how the converter's not cleaned all the way out. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. You could put it in water, suck it up, put it back down, put it in water, suck it up, put it back down. I don't do that. What I do is I take the converter and I run it all the way to the back, like this, so the converter is all the way back, okay? Then I take a blunt syringe and I fill it with water and I put it in the end of it, like this, and I flush it. And it usually takes twice. You get the bulk of the ink out of it the first time, and then you get a nice clean rinse the second time. And then if you miss and spray it across the kitchen, that's always cool too. Just give it a quick rinse, and then I just push the piston all the way back down and blot the end out of it. Now you'll notice here I'm using an old towel. I was using paper towels, but that was not very conservative of me as far as resources go. We were going through a lot of paper towels because we play with pens a lot, and this doesn't get lint in your pens. If you're wiping off your section like this, you don't get little paper bits stuck in your tines. So this terry cloth towel is working pretty good. So that at this point, these 2 things I will just set to the side, the section and the converter, and I will allow them to dry until, you know, later today, and I will now then put them up. So now this Franklin Christoph Model 46 I have eye dropped, and I'm almost out of ink. There's a little bit left in there, but for the sake of this video I don't mind wasting a little bit. So normally I wouldn't, but I'm just gonna basically, yeah, there's only a couple of drops left. And this pen is a little easier because the body of the pen is just full of water. So this, I just rinse out. Sometimes I'll just fill it partially, give it a little now it's rinsed out. Now the one thing I will do is in the threads right here, because we use silicone grease on this pen, I will give the silicone a wipe around the inside edge of this because ink will stick in it in the future. So I like to, might use a paper towel for that actually. Just a piece of it, and just clean out the edge of these threads so that ink doesn't get stuck in that silicone the next time I put it in there. Now, we still need to clean out the section. So the same thing, just give that a rinse. Fill this up, put it in there, give it a flush until it is clean. Sometimes, depending on the color, I will pull the feed out because this had a very shimmery ink in it. Now every pen comes out apart a little different, so don't do that until you figure out. Oh, and in fact, we also need to put this pen back together. So I'm going to put the feed and the nib back together, and I'm also going to pull the section out because there's ink stuck between there. Cool. Now we're all rinsed out. Cool. Same thing. I'll go ahead and just leave those to dry. Oh, and this one, I do like to rinse the cap out in case there's any little bit of ink left in the cap. Alright, so that pen will be ready to reassemble later once it's dry. Now this is a piston fill pen. Let's go ahead. There's no ink in that cap. So this is a piston fill pen, and the way this one works is there's an internal piston here. So we do not need, we do not have any converter to take out or anything like that. So this one, we're just gonna twist, 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 twist. Make sure there's no ink left in it. There was just a little splash left in there. Now, there's a couple of ways to clean these kinds of pens out. If the pen cannot be disassembled, then I would just put it in water, draw water up into the pen, and then keep doing this, emptying it into the sink until it is clean. This particular pen can be disassembled, so we are going to pull the nib section off, and we can then do what we were talking about before, because this is a TWSBI Diamond 580 ALR. We do the same thing. We can draw water up into there. We can put this inside the pen, and we can flush it. Now, this pen had a very shimmery ink in it. So if a pen has a very shimmery ink in it and you're worried about glitter being stuck in the feed and stuff, then we go full on, full on. This part of the pen is clean, all is well. This part of the pen is clean, all is well. But this part, the nib and the housing, might still have some glittery, shimmery stuff in there that's really hard to get out. So, let's go full send. This is an ultrasonic cleaner. So we're going to go ahead and take this nib housing, put it in the ultrasonic cleaner, and hit the button and let it run, and we're going to see if any ink comes out. It's not as bad as I thought. Oh, yep, it's coming out. So there was glittery parts of ink stuck inside there that the ultrasonic cleaner is getting out. So I'll let this run for about 1.5 minutes, and then we'll reassemble the pen. Cool. All right, cool. So we got all this stuff done. So this stuff's just been sitting here drying a while. That pen might need to be dried a little bit more, but we can go ahead and put the Franklin-Christoph back together. So screw that nib back in there, and then screw the section back onto the pen. And our Franklin-Christoph number 46 is clean. Then we will take our Gravitas pen and we will put the converter back in it like so. Screw the barrel back on. Screw the cap back on. And then that one will be ready. I don't like to set that one on anything with ink because the dye will get in the... Let's just make sure there's no water. Every time I do these ones, there ends up being a little water left in the pen. There we go. And the Diamond 580 ALR will now become a pen again. And we have conveniently and successfully cleaned 3 different types of fountain pens. No real specialized tools, no detergents or anything, just a booger sucker and a blunt syringe. I'll leave links to the ones that I use in the description, as well as a link to the ultrasonic cleaner, because that's something that I use quite often to clean fountain pens. I hope that helps, and I hope that you learned something. And if you have any suggestions, you let me know, and we'll see you in the next video.